to Sudan. So it's a portion of the 700 million that you're suspending, right? Or pausing.
It is a pause of the 700 million.
The entire 700 million.
Correct.
Okay, so how much of that do you know had already been sent?
We are pausing that full amount. Yes.
So none of it had been sent.
That's correct.
All right, and that's just ESF, right? So that's just direct assistance to the Sudanese government.
That was assistance for the transition. That's correct.
Right. Okay, and what about other things that are covered under the the quote unquote coup statute? Does that mean that you have determined that what happened is a coup? And secondly, is there anything else that's been suspended? Usually IMET and non-humanitarian stuff gets suspended. Has any of that been done too?
Well, so let me make a couple points. One, we're in the very early hours of this, and we are watching very closely. We are making clear where the United States stands. We are making very clear not only where we stand, but our international partners have done the same. We have seen statements from the UN Secretary General. We've seen statements from the EU, from Joseph Borrell, from the Arab League, from the AU, from France, from Germany, from the UK, from any number of international allies and partners echoing many of the same points. So we are closely monitoring the events in Sudan, but most importantly, the actions to seize power are an unacceptable contravention of Sudan's constitutional declaration, which is the agreed framework for the transition as well as the democratic aspirations of the Sudanese people. Now, the question about a coup determination, as you know, when these events transpire, we typically do undertake a coup determination. However, Sudan has been subject to the military coup restrictions since the 1989 coup by the Bashir regime, and it will continue to remain subject to that restriction until the Secretary determines that a democratically elected government has taken office.
Okay. Does any of what you're considering, will any of what you're considering to do, unless of course things change, affect the state sponsor, the rescission of the state-sponsored declaration, or the compensation that the Sudanese had been paying or did pay or in the process of paying for the 98 embassy bombings? Is any of that affected or potentially affected?
Potentially, of course. Our entire relationship with this entity in Sudan will be evaluated in light of what has transpired, unless Sudan is returned to the transitional path. That is what we are calling for. The civilian-led transitional government should be immediately restored because it represents the will of the Sudanese people. You don't have to take our word for that. You can look at the outpouring of support that the transitional government has received, including in recent days. The peaceful protests across the country, where hundreds of thousands, if not more, turned out to show their support for their transitional government. So we are very much standing with the people of Sudan. The people of Sudan have made clear their aspirations for the continuation of transition to democracy, and we will continue to support that, including, if needed, by holding accountable those responsible for these anti-democratic actions.
All right, last one. Ambassador or Special Envoy Feltman was there just yesterday and met with both Hamdok and Burhan. Should we take it from the fact that this happened even after he was there, urging calming of the situation and reconciliation, that his advice, at least to Burhan, was not heeded, or was he given a heads up that they were going to go ahead and do this regardless of the message they were getting from the U.S.?
To be clear, we were not given any heads up about this. Clearly, an action like this is something that the United States would and now does oppose and condemns in the strongest possible terms. As you know, Ambassador Feltman has regularly traveled to the region. He has consistently engaged with the Prime Minister, with other actors in the Sudanese political system. His recent trip there was in furtherance of that.